John, you had that really good win against Crewe, which showed your best qualities. Then on Monday, you were really angry afterwards. Now you've had a chance to reflect it, you'll have seen it back. What are your thoughts?
Just it was a bad performance, wasn't it? I think we started okay, but I was just more angry. Me and Jet Brannan were really angry in terms of like performing like we did Friday to the Monday, and we had a meeting the next day just to say we got the lads in to chat about it and just have a, you know, it's not a crisis meeting, is it? But you want to know reasons why. You know, when things happen in whatever anyone's life, you want to, well, how did that happen, and you want to get to the bottom of things. So that's all we did. We sat down and it was good. It was a good chat, and you know, the players said what they thought themselves in terms of, and I wouldn't say the outcome, but there was certain things that they couldn't put the fingers on. They were saying so. I don't know. We're here to help and guide them, you know, to put the best version of them out on the pitch, which we've seen at times, like we did see on Friday. But against Gillingham, a team that we thought were there for the taking, a team that hadn't won their own for a while. And you know, it was a lovely day, wasn't it? It was a lovely sunny day. The fans that came down were absolutely brilliant. You know, cheered the lads on and everything else. And as I said, you know, Freddie's had a chance with an header from across. And there was a bit of moaning from their fans, home fans, and then I think Tyler's had one. The keeper's been caught in no man's land, and he knows he's got to do better. He's sort of swivelled and put a shot wide to his left foot. So you know, if that goes in, it's a different story. But the fans were starting to moan. You could sense it. I asked all the players, could you not feel it? And they could, but for some reason they couldn't put the finger on why they performed the way they did. So you know, the thing is then is you've got to go forwards then. So, you know, we were asking all sorts of questions within the meeting of how these things happen. And you're getting different answers and what have you. And then things that you might have done previously and got a victory. You're thinking, you know, we'll do that again, and we've done that again. And the outcome was totally different. So you are scratching your head, but you're trying to find answers. But as I said, there's you could do something all the time and get the same result, as in, i.e. winning, because that's what you want to do, and then you could do it again and then lose or draw or whatever it is for the next 2 or 3 games. I don't know. So as I said, you've got to be consistent in what you're doing, but you've got to understand what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and making sure that, you know, the outcome is you're getting something off the pitch, you know, on Saturday.
I guess it's about players taking responsibility and looking after their own self-development on and off the pitch. Are you looking
at it?
It is,
Adam, if it. So I said it is that, but they're in a team. So I've had, and you do have, people knocking on your door, individual chats where I thought I played well. I thought I played well. Well, yeah, you did play well, but your team's just lost. So yeah, you might have played well, but it wasn't well enough to help your team to win a game of football. And that's what everyone's paid to do, is try and win a game of football. So play well and then influence the lad next to you or your teammate behind you or whatever at the side of you to play well as well. So how they go about that, and they've done it in the past, is can they do it again? Can recreate whatever we've done, whether it was the build-up, whether they slept well the night before, I don't know. So like, don't just be happy with I played well, I done all right, and just bob along. So we've had all them chats in, you know, with the group, the squad, whatever, to say, listen, it's not just about yourself. You're in a team. So I played well to try and earn yourself whatever you need to earn. It's about play well and influence everyone else around you and get your good qualities out and influence the player next to you.
People talk about how difficult it is as a manager when you're fighting for things at the top end of the table and, you know, even worse at the bottom. You're in between all that. Is it almost as hard because, you know, you keep saying that the season doesn't fizzle out, but I guess it's, you know, everyone's human at the end of the day.
It is, and you know, you can't play the game for people. You don't know what goes on in people's heads, only when you're talking, when you're having individual meetings and you know, team meetings. But you've got to see what floats the boat, you know, what makes them tick. So it is so hard, and as I said, because we're a small squad of what we've got and what we've had in terms of the past of the injuries and suspensions and stuff, you are asking lads, experienced players of a certain age, to go again and again and again. So, you know, it's been a long season for some of them. So some of them do deserve a rest, but you want to put quality on the pitch to replace that. And unfortunately, at times we haven't had that. At times we have had that. So, you know, it's getting that balance, and you're in between, as you say now, in between. You know, you can't really push for playoffs, and you've got no real danger of but you don't want to fall down, really. You want to keep climbing as much as you can. So there's points there. So if we had, as I said, when we had the chat on Tuesday, to say where do we want to go with the next 2 games? Well, the next game, to be honest, which is a derby against Fleetwood. So, you know, we've all agreed on what we want to do going forward now. And again, then it's over to the players. We'll do our part, and it's over to the players. And the demands and the pressure is still on them to go and win 3 points, to pick points up. Whether it's a point, 3 points, come tomorrow or Tuesday. I
think you've had a good season, haven't you, John? I think the improvement's there to be seen. Do you agree with that?
What I'm going to do is I'll give you my judgment and everything else at the end of the season.
Fine.
So it's a good question, Adam, but at the minute, I know where we sit, I know where we were last year, I know what we had last year, and I'm always about, can you be better, can you progress, can you develop? So we reflect on everything when the season finishes. I can reflect on the last game, which I've reflected on with the players, post-match, after the game, Gillingham. Now I'm just doing it with you, and we're looking forward to the Fleetwood game. But in terms of when the season finishes, I'll reflect and see if it's been good enough.
Do you know which players you want to keep and who will get offered new contracts?
Yeah, but there's still 5 games to go for people to convince us, me and Jed Brannan, that, you know, they deserve to be here. So, as I said before, it's like, I think it's a tough job because, you know, you can, in any walk of life, in terms of when you've got a job, you go and sign, you know, whatever your contract, whatever it is, whatever you work, and then you're getting judged on your performance, but there's no threat of basically losing your job. Whereas in football, you sign 2-year deals. If you're not on the team, it could be over after a while. So they've got to perform every single day in training, and they've got to perform when they go on the pitch because everyone judges them.
The subject of red cards obviously can't be avoided, unfortunately, John. Did you appeal either of the ones at Gillingham?
No. I think, to be fair to Tyler, I think his one was a bit harsh. I think coming back, he's still trying to find his feet, get up to speed, all of that. So he's not quite at it in terms of that. I think he showed signs of that when he first came on at home here. But his legs were a little bit. We could see that at half time, and we give him another 5 or 10 minutes if you like. But we could see him getting a little bit frustrated with certain things, and we were ready to take him off. And as I said to Dan on Monday, I actually turned round to speak to the sub, so I didn't even know what happened. So obviously he's seen it now, and he's honestly just gone to do an overhead kick. I don't know why, because it's probably in the wrong part of the pitch to do that. So he's made the wrong decision. I wouldn't have done that, but he's done that, and the lad's got in, he just got his body in the way, so it was probably dangerous play, and the referee, I don't think it was a straight red, it should be a yellow, and then off you go. David's one was off the ball, so that was just, he'd been knocked around himself. He knows he has to do better, he knows he has to react in a better way, and he's banged the lad, but unfortunately he hasn't got away with it himself, so no, we haven't appealed him.
Can you is there a discipline issue, do you think? These red cards have come in quite a flurry. You've had 7 now across the season. I try to be measured with this, but how difficult is it to assess? Do you have an issue that you need to sort out, John, here?
No, there's no issues to sort out. The game's emotional, so if someone's getting sent off all the time to the same people for things that you can actually see it's totally wrong, then I wouldn't play them in the team. So, if you look back at the certain red cards, there's ones that, we were saying about, and people telling us to actually appeal them. So, and then you lose the appeal, so it makes no sense. So there's ones where you're thinking they shouldn't have been sending offs, but, at the end of the day, they have been because the referees made that decision. But, you're looking back, probably it goes far back, maybe Josh Woods' first one against Doncaster. Now, he got sent off that people probably forget about when the lad was clean through Doncaster on goal. So he's clean through and he's tried to make a challenge. So that is like, last man and letter of the Lord, he's got to go. But that's the sort of sending off where you'll take because he's trying to prevent his team from conceding a goal. You rely on your keeper to make a save, but ones where they're blatantly, someone's going out to do something to someone at the minute, bring them down, or it's a reckless tackle, and it's a reckless tackle again, and they're doing it again, then that's the problem. Yeah. But I haven't seen any of them. I've seen, silly ones. You could say about Josh Woods then at Tranmere leading with his elbow. So I didn't even know, but you know, when I looked at it, and I think I don't know whether I spoke to you at the time, Adam, or the next day, is, you know, he doesn't catch him. The lad jumps up. He's actually looking to say, well, you know, has he caught me? And oh, the referee, and then all of a sudden you can see the player just jump up. So I'm not saying he's feigning injury, but don't lead with your elbow. But your arms have got to go somewhere when you jump. So it's the referee's decision on certain things. There's definitely not a discipline problem here. There's not. But, you know, if there was, I'd sort it out, not a problem at all.
Yeah. Does it show how committed your players are, or how committed they have to be, that these things are happening? That you're not having to make tackles, they're having to really dig in to get these results. Well, is it something to do with that? I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying. You're trying to find an answer, you can't. So they're all committed, that's for sure. You don't tackle nowadays. So the tackling's coming out the game. You know, you can see, you know, you can go on to other realms of the game in terms of, you know, in the middle of the pitch and someone grabs hold of someone to free kick in the box, you can do what you want. And grab hold of someone, keep hold of someone, or push them, and are either corners or they're not corners. So we'll go back to the consistency of the decision making from the people who make them decisions. So lads are fully committed. As I said, there's no discipline from any of them. I wouldn't say one or two of them are being a bit silly, if you like, doing what they've done in terms of leading with your elbow and all that, and maybe David's on Monday. But in terms of they're fully committed to everything they do, the game's emotional at times. The ones that I don't like is the verbal ones where you're getting yellow cards or red cards for a verbal. I'm not having that. We've spoke about that. That pushed Donald over the threshold in Grimsby away, and that was a crucial time for us when Devon got sent off and we got told, oh, we'll appear that because, you know, it's not a sending off. But anyway, nothing happens there. And at the same time, Donald was really upset. Donald was upset about the decision itself, and then he's saying what he was saying, which I was in earshot of it all. And, you know, the referee hasn't liked that anyway, and then he gets sent off. He's pushed, well, not sent off, sorry, another yellow, so that pushes him over for the missing 2 games then. So
you lose 2 forwards now, don't you, for 3 games?
Yeah, that's it. But it is what it is, Adam. You know, the first thing it said, has anyone got in to say in the meeting that we had the other day, and them 2 lads apologised. Not just to us, but to teammates. So I've said before about, I'll say certain things about what goes on in meetings, but that's remains in the meetings with the lads. But them 2 lads held their hands up straight away and knew that they let the team down on the day. They knew that, but they apologised. They apologised on the day, and they apologised openly in front of everyone, the staff, when they had the meeting on the Tuesday.
You've had some good results here at the Wham Stadium this season. What do you expect from Fleetwood, who have a new manager and have had a reasonably good unbeaten run? Just lost their last 2. What do you think? Yeah,
they looked at they haven't won in 3, have they? So it's one of them for me. You know, they've done well. Similar to us, I think they're 4 points off us at the minute. We've got a game in hand on them, so it's a big game. It's a derby game. It's bragging rights, if you like, for the fans. Good side, good footballers, play a certain way, can mix it. So we know what to expect. They've got some good young players, got some experienced players as well, similar to ourselves really.